invite on the show the management of Info Edge. The company, the stock price is absolutely flat. The revenues for the company continue to be on the slower side. So standalone revenues have gone up by 1.5% on a year-on-year basis. This is the fifth consecutive quarter where the revenue growth on a year-on-year basis for the company is in low single digits. And the problem is that the IT hiring in Naukri continues to be on the weaker side. To talk about the way forward, we've got Chintan Thakkar, the Wholetime Director and CFO of the company. Chintan, afternoon. This is Rima here. Can you talk about IT hiring? We have your Naukri revenues up 27% on a year-on-year basis. What was the IT hiring growth or degrowth, and what did non-IT hiring do, and how much does it contribute now to your Naukri revenues?
Yeah, so let's first talk about the Info Edge overall. I think you mentioned something around, around the revenue of 1.5%, but actually the revenue has grown up by 11.5%, right? It's actually billing, which is about 5%, and that's where the overall, on the overall basis, the billing is kind of, which is a lead indicator, which is going on, it's kind of steady as, as we look at the last quarter as well. But yeah, but you are very right on the point that, this is because of the slowdown in the IT hiring, right? And IT versus non-IT, actually non-IT is still growing, but it is not growing as much to really kind of offset the decline in the in the IT hiring.
Numbers,
yes.
Can you share numbers, Chintan? In Naukri, what was IT hiring like? Was it up? Was it down? Was it flat? And even non-IT hiring, how much does it contribute to your Naukri revenues? And what's the growth there?
Yeah. So IT hiring has been declined, right? And as I said, that non-IT hiring has been kind of on a growth path, and non-IT kind of compensates a little bit for the decline in the IT hiring, but it is not good enough. So overall, we kind of bit flattish or little decline when you speak specifically of the Naukri India, but the overall recruitment solution, as a vertical, as a segment, is kind of bit flattish, right? So when you look at the percentage of IT hiring, when we don't have the exact number of how many jobs are IT and how many jobs are non-IT in that sense, but from the IT enabled services, it is estimated that around 55% to 60% is from the IT enabled services kind of customer, or the recruitment consultants who in turn are servicing the IT enabled services customers. So we'll not have a direct number to that, but indirect derivative, if you add that as well, roughly around 55-60%, is the dependency on IT, companies, right? Okay. And the balance would be roughly in that range would be from the non-IT.
Okay, so Chintan, what is the guidance for the second half when it comes to Naukri, both on hiring within IT as well as the non-IT space? What are the trends that we can extrapolate for the second half in terms of revenue?
Yeah, well, in terms of non-IT, there are certain segments, certain pockets which seems to be doing well, like pharma or telecom or infrastructure, real estate. Some of these sectors are doing well in non-IT. IT in general, barring some pockets like some of the hiring happening in GCC. Even GCC, when we talk about, there are GCCs which are for IT and GCC for non-IT. The GCC for non-IT seems to be hiring at a much faster rate than what GCC and the IT is, right? Now, given that we are kind of, if you look at last year in the same time, in the same period, and if you compare it where we are now, and if you look at our JobSpeak index as well, where we monthly kind of look at what the growth in the overall job activity on our platform is, it looks like that we are right now, looks like that we have bottomed out kind of thing. But it's very hard to really predict, that how it would be. And, one is that how much time it will remain there when, even if assuming that it's bottomed out, and when the growth will start. I think that's a key question. We'll have to really wait and watch for the third quarter. We are hopeful because by the end of third quarter, we would have completed one full year of cycle of attrition in the IT industry. The correction on the IT started from last year Q3. So maybe it's a 12 months kind of a cycle. So it should end around Q3, and we are hoping that we can go back on a little bit on growth side in Q4. So that's our expectation, and there's no real data to say that yes, there's a growth that's upcoming. But yeah, some of the trends shows that maybe it's kind of closing towards bottoming it out. So let's we are hopeful for that scenario.
Okay, so hoping for a better second half with respect to Naukri on both IT and non-IT. Got that. Let's talk a little bit about the real estate business as well, Chintan, because 99 acres continues to fire away, right? The year-on-year numbers, I think, close to 25% growth. That's looking pretty good. Tell us what you forecast for the second half, and also what about the burn in this side of the business? Because the profit before tax, I mean, that loss number keeps coming down. I think it's down to about 16 odd crores in the quarter gone by. So what's the run rate there? And what can you forecast with respect to cash burn in 99 acres?
Yeah, well, we are hopeful that if the growth continues the way it has been, in particularly last 2 quarters, and we are seeing a lot more efficiency on the cost side, particularly on the on the marketing spend, and if that continues, then we are kind of reducing the cash burn, and we would be hopeful that by Q4 something that we start at a run rate, we would hope that it starts kind of doing a break even. But again, our objective is not that. Our objective is to grow at a much faster rate. And if we think that there are certain investments required, maybe it's because of competitive pressure, or maybe because of certain growth cycles that we are seeing, or some growth in which we think is emerging, then we would continue to invest behind it. So break-even is not the objective, but it may happen if we continue to grow at a faster rate and we remain very disciplined in terms of how we spend money.
You mentioned competitive pressure. That's interesting. What's the market share right now that 99 acres enjoys? And can you elaborate a little more on the competitive intensity in the market?
Yeah, like right now, in terms of the vertical search, real estate search portal, it's largely a 3-player market, and we believe that we are kind of ahead of the other 2 competitors. The other one being Magic Bricks and Housing.com. Nonetheless, they are very similar in terms of where we are, and in some of the geography, it could be a little bit of a fight about who's number 1 and who's number 2. There are certain geographies where we are clearly number 1. But I think we should also say that, when it comes to this particular market, it is just not the vertical players who are playing a role, but it's also the players like Google and Facebook. When it comes to digital advertisement for new launches of real estate, they also do play a role. So in that sense, it's a wider competitive landscape, particularly for the new projects, and the builder and developer projects. But when it comes to resale, it's the vertical properties like us who play a much bigger role.
Okay, all right, Chintan, we're going to leave it on that note. Thanks very much for joining in and speaking with us. So that's Info Edge. The stock is up around 0.3% at this point in time.